All right, pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the West Newbury Conservation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. Reminder that persons who would like to listen to or view this meeting while in progress may do so by use of Zoom. Link to the meeting found on the West Newbury Conservation webpage on the January 25th, 2021 agenda, or by calling in at 646-558-8656. Okay. So there have been a number of items that have been continued. First continued hearing is on the City of Newburyport Department of Public Services for the Lower Artichoke Spillway. Next matter continued is the West Newbury DPW townwide tree program. Next continuance is Deer Run Land Development, 519 Main Street. And the rest of the items we will take in the order on the agenda. So first up is continued public hearing on a notice of intent for 183 River Road.
I see. Oops.
So the Eagle Protection Plan has been approved by Heritage.
You sent that today, Bert?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, whoever.
I just had some questions about the adequacy of the information for the construction of the proposed force main. While it's now a temporary crossing instead of a permanent crossing, there's a construction sequence on the plan that talks about damming any flow from the stream and creating a secondary sump. But I'm not sure, I don't see where that secondary sump is going to be, or how long the process is going to take. Also talks about backfilling and compacting with dry material, but might be helpful to have some information about what material they're using. It says use stockpile stream bottom material or import clay material if needed. So I guess I'd like some more information on where that's coming from, and if it's being inspected by anybody. So those are my questions about the crossing. And I apologize, I was not at the last meeting this project was discussed, and I don't know, I didn't see anything in the minutes addressing these particular questions.
Hi, Tim Collins, can I weigh in?
Sure.
Yes, Tim.
Thank you. So in the construction sequence, which is the river crossing is about a day and probably even down to hours. Our goal is to do it where there's no flow. So we have witnessed times that there is no flow. We're probably looking at an August construction date. If there is flow, it's standard practice to put in a sump area upstream of where we'll be digging and to pump around downstream so that the area that we're digging in is avoided any water that's coming in. What's going to be our goal if the material's dry to reuse the material that we excavate and keep everything existing material so we do not have to import any material. Clay we would probably get the clay from Bentley Warren in Ipswich. would be the best material for the stream bottom. But we're not talking a whole bunch of material, 3 to 4 yards maybe, to replace the excavation of the force main.
And why are you proposing clay?
Because it's similar materials. It's going to be the bottom of the stream is a clay, predominantly clay material that's there existing now. Clay doesn't wash away. Once it's compacted, the water flows over. It doesn't have any characteristics of, it holds water better than any other materials.
I didn't see anything about what the current stream bed.
Number 6, use stockpiled stream bottom material or import clay material if needed.
Right, but I was just wondering, why I asked you why clay was because I don't see anything that tells me what the current stream bottom is. And you're saying that it is clay.
It's predominantly a clay material. The whole site is. It's got a clay mixture.
I
Again,
think,
if the material's dry,
Yeah.
we'll reuse the material. But if the material's wet, it's going to be hard to compact.
you said August is when you think you're doing this, or I think the Eagle plan said you could work in July also, correct?
Yeah, we would start the house lot, driveway, foundation in July, and we would try to time, mid-July to mid-August would be our time frame to hit the septic system.
Okay.
Bert, could you zoom in on this a little bit on the plan? Thanks.
Where are you putting the materials that you're excavating for the installation of the main?
We'll probably either stockpile them within the work area or load them into a loader or some sort to, get them close to where we are, but not too far away. Most everything that we're going to excavate is going to go back in. There'll be an excess material that will probably move to the house area. It'll be about a 2-foot trench, and we'll be doing the work.
Are there any other questions?
Is this construction sequence spelled out in the NOI, or is this just referenced on the plan?
I believe it's just referenced on the plan.
Okay.
Are you planning on having a professional wetlands person on site when you're doing this?
We haven't. It's pretty simple construction.
Are there any other comments?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that all of the things that Tim is saying verbally is recorded in writing somewhere, and not having a plan, I can't really confirm that. So I guess I would count on Bert and Judy to make sure that it's all documented.
Well, we do have the construction sequence, which is on the plans. And we do have the Eagle protection plan, which has been, I believe it has been sent to everyone.
Yeah, I saw that it came through today. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I'm more concerned with the, documentation on the plan. I don't have it, so I can't review
Well,
it.
The sequence, construction sequence does not contain all the things you just said. But we can put them in the order.
Okay.
Now, for example, it doesn't talk about the time of installation.
Well, the time of installation would be between July 1st and October 1st, I believe.
I'm just saying, in terms of the documentation, it's not. When you said that you would be doing the crossing at a time when there was no flow.
That's the goal, correct?
Judy, I think the time frame is in the Eagle protection.
There's a general time frame in the Eagle plan, but in terms of
Right.
doing the crossing when there's no flow, that's not in either the construction sequence or the Eagle protection plan.
I mean, if we can add that as, number one to the plan. I mean, that was discussed. Sorry, I thought it was understood that we would be targeting a lowest flow time period to do the construction.
Yeah, we did discuss it. The issue is we have to have it in writing just in case, this plan is approved, but you may not, if you went away and someone else did it, we want to make sure everything's documented so that it happens. That's all.
Well, I move that we issue an order of conditions for the work proposed at 183 River Road with the standard conditions, special conditions, and additional conditions. That the erosion control shall consist of a 12-inch straw wattle backed by silt fence. The proposed force main shall be installed at a time of no flow or lowest flow. The secondary sump will be installed upstream. The trench will be a 2-foot wide trench. Any material imported if necessary, for the stream bottom shall be inspected by the conservation agent before it is installed. The conservation agent shall also review the location of the secondary sump before any water is pumped. Any materials, and the conservation agent shall also approve the area for any stockpiling of material before that material is located. Any material not reused in the stream shall be disposed of at least 50 feet from any wetland resource area. be a 25-foot natural vegetation area extending from the wetlands to be marked by posts, 8-foot posts embedded 4 feet, extending 4 feet, locations to be determined by the applicant and the conservation agent. No sodium-based deicers on the driveway.
Do you want to reference the Eagle protection plan?
The construction schedule shall be submitted to the conservation agent at least 72 hours prior to the commencement of any work. The bald eagle protection plan approved by Heritage shall be attached to this order and incorporated in it. And erosion control shall be inspected and approved by the agent prior to any other work under the order. That's my motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, who we have? Okay, Dawn,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Molly,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
me, aye. Okay, thanks, Tim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability for 414 Middle Street for construction of a driveway.
Whereabouts on Middle Street is this?
Good evening. This is Greg Hockmuth from Williams and Sparagis, representing Daniel Follansby for the RDA filed for 414 Middle Street.
Oh, okay.
This is the one we talked about on January 4th. It's on the portion of Middle that's closed just before the bridge that's out.
Yeah.
It's one of the Follansby parcels. I guess it would be on the left as you're heading towards Newburyport. We presented the project at the last hearing on January 4th. And we were ready to close, and then we got into a discussion about the construction period. The applicant's hoping to be able to construct the driveway as soon as possible and not wait until April. And what we were asked to do is put together a plan that we could present to the commission that described how we intend to stabilize the site during the winter months. So we put together a construction stabilization plan that includes a construction methodology, as well as some photos and how we intend to stabilize the site. This is the one with the wetland that's across the street from where the driveway entrance would be. Mr. Follansby was before the planning board, I think a month or two ago, with a request to break the wall, which he received. If it's possible, I'd like to share my screen just to show a couple of photos while I talk about the construction schedule. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try this. I did my best to take some photos that without doing a panoramic view that show both sides of the street. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
So on the left side here, you can see these 4 locust trees that were cut. This is where the driveway would be proposed, right in this location. The wetland is over here. You can see where the standing water is on the other side of the road. There is a ditch over here that's not a wetland. It's pretty much the start of the ditch. So part of the proposal includes placing a 12-inch culvert in that ditch. Somebody put a ditch there for a reason, and my guess is it does carry storm water during certain storm events. So even though it's not a wetland, we are proposing erosion controls in that ditch just to protect anything downstream. This continues down. You can see there's a little shadow here under the neighbor's driveway. That's another culvert. And then as you go down the road, it eventually spills out into a wetland. I think it actually crosses the street and it enters a large wetland down towards the bottom of the hill. So I'm just gonna back up here. I have a proposed construction methodology.
Greg, before you do that, how do the stumps line up across with the wetlands across the street? I mean, are they near the 25 mile speed zone marker?
Okay, yeah, so this is, I stood in the same spot when I took both these photos.
Okay,
One's just looking a little bit more left, the other one's looking a little bit more right. So I was in the exact same spot.
okay, thanks.
Yep. So the first step would be to install the erosion controls as shown on the permit site plan. And that really just includes that small little horseshoe of mulch sock in the ditch itself. Then it would be remove stumps and grub out the area, install a 12-inch diameter reinforced concrete pipe, construct field stone head walls and import fill over newly installed pipe. And all this can happen fairly quickly. It's only a driveway. It's a very small entrance. And then construct driveway. And once proper grade is achieved, they can't pave during the winter until the plants open up again. But we thought it would be a good idea to cover the exposed earth with some type of a coarse aggregate, some type of stone. And that would really serve 2 roles. It would help hold the soil in place during the winter months, and it would clean any tires of construction vehicles coming in and out of the site. Kind of like what's required for a NIPD's permit at the entrance of construction sites. And then cover any exposed earth on either side with straw erosion control blankets. Those erosion control blankets, I think they're $60 for almost 100 feet by 12 feet. They're very inexpensive. They do a great job. They come with staples. And then just as an added precaution, we have another line item here to sweep any sediment that's within Middle Street until driveway's paved. So that would be at the end of each construction day. Even though the road is, it does have a crown in the middle, and any stormwater should push stormwater on our side of the road. We thought that would be a good idea to just keep that road clean during construction. Once the driveway's in, they're hoping just to button it up, and then once the plant's open, they can pave it, and then it will be 100% stabilized. But it's, it should be pretty quick with the wetlands on the other side of the road, where this is an RDA. I know the commission doesn't like construction to happen before April, but I think this can be done and the resource areas can be protected.
Greg, when you say pretty quick, are you talking hours or days or?
I would say probably 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill Spalding would be doing the work. He's done a few of these with the culverts and the ditches and the wall breaks and
And I haven't read your letter. Does it have a wetland scientist supervising or being on site?
It doesn't, but I'm happy to police it and even submit weekly reports to the commission if that's something that the commission's looking for.
Yeah, I think, the more of these out of season work requests we get, if we attach some kind of requirement for a wetland scientist to be there, that kind of justifies you know, if we're going to make exceptions. So I would like to see that commitment, you know, in the proposal
Yep.
or the RDA. Yeah.
We'd be happy to add that as an additional bullet item.
Mhm.
What is the slope for the driveway?
So it's a little deceiving. It looks very flat in the photos, but it probably jumps up at least 2 to 3 feet by the time you get up and I'm pointing to my photo, but you guys can't see it. Hold on a second. Let me try that again. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
So up in here, you see how there's a little bit of a hill? You know, that's probably outside the buffer zone, but I would say it rises probably 2 feet higher than if you were standing in the road here. And then the ditch is probably down 1.5 feet. The trees make it look a little deceiving where the roots are growing up, but the ditch is really probably about 1.5 feet lower than the paved surface. And up here, it's about 2 feet higher. So there'll be a little bit of a cut, but nothing that can't be managed. You know, the top of the subcatchment would be roughly here, and then everything from the field slopes back. So it's not a giant hill that's shedding stormwater down towards the new driveway cut.
And I guess that's my question. What kind of runoff are you going to have during the winter?
Not much at all. It's a big old field. I think that the most recent crop was probably hay, but at one point in time, I think Spring Hill Nursery had trees out here that they used to pluck out of the ground and bring over to their nursery, which I think was over in Haverhill. But if you look out in the field now, there's still a big stand of, I think it's beech, birch, and then some type of maple down in the back of the field.
What if anything, are you proposing for the portion of the driveway that's outside the buffer zone but slopes down towards it?
So certainly anything that would slope towards the street or have any likelihood of carrying sediment towards, I'll call it the ditch, we'd want to stabilize with the straw or the erosion control blankets. One roll should be enough to cover everything that would need to be covered. And that can be laid out in less than an hour. It's very easy to work with. Straw is what we used to use, but you get a good windstorm, and we've had a few of those this winter, and
Oh, yeah.
you know, you'd be repeating it until the ground freezes and hopefully catches it. The blankets are probably the way to go.
But your letter says that the blankets will be used in the buffer zone, and what I was asking about was the area above the buffer zone that has some slope to it. What's going to prevent that part of the driveway from just kind of running down?
Right. So the buffer zone is probably pretty much the crest of that hill. But if we had to extend it a little further to capture anything that's flowing down that way, we'd extend it. It's not your typical West Newbury hill. It's pretty flat out here. If it was, if it was anything more than that, or there was a strong likelihood of impact to the resource areas, we would have went ahead and filed a notice of intent for this. It's a fairly simple, straightforward project with minimal risk to the resource areas that are across the street. Really, the one concern is the ditch and anything working its way down to other resource areas, even though it's not a wetland. It has the potential to carry sediment down to a wetland. That's what we want to watch.
And is the culvert down at the end of the ditch the same size, the 12-inch?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
The front's a little bent and banged up, but it's a 12-inch corrugated metal.
Okay.
You'd be a little higher up in the subcatchment and be putting in a 12-inch reinforced concrete. I didn't see any evidence that the culvert under the downstream driveway wasn't working properly. There was no evidence of ponding or going over the top of the driveway or anything like that.
Okay.
Did the culvert under that driveway, does it look like it gets water? So that this ditch is used?
Yes,
Okay,
I haven't witnessed it during a storm event, but
it
I would-
might just be in spring.
yeah, and we're pretty much at the top of the hill. So I think we're at the top of that subcatchment. And I think just over the years from salting and sanding and just normal maintenance, the ditch isn't much of a ditch anymore, but it still does appear to convey water.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? Comments?
Nope.
Okay, I move that we issue a negative determination of applicability for the proposed driveway work with the construction methodology set out in the January 22nd, 2021 letter from Greg Hopkins, with the condition that a professional wetland scientist be on site during the installation of the pipe and the installation of the straw erosion control blankets in the buffer zone after the driveway work has been completed. The conservation agent shall be informed at least 72 hours prior to any construction, prior to the commencement of any construction, and shall be notified when the culvert has been installed, when erosion control has been installed, and when the culvert has been installed. The agent shall approve the installation of the erosion control and the straw erosion control blankets at the end of the work. And should the slope require erosion control blankets, shall extend outside of the buffer zone to the extent necessary to prevent material from flowing down the driveway.
Judy, I'm sorry, did you mention that we would allow work outside the normal seasonal restriction?
That's part of an order of conditions, which is a request for determination of applicability. But yeah, work can commence prior to April 15th of 2021.
Okay.
I just had one question before the commission votes.
Mhm.
As far as the frequency that you want a wetland scientist to keep an eye on this, is that typically, after a ½ inch or greater during 24 hours or weekly?
I was envisioning while the active work is going on. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, so just exactly what Judy described, oversight during the actual construction and stabilization. And then
Yes.
that, just leave it alone without any monitoring or anything like that.
I think once the stabilization is completed, maybe check on it to make sure the stabilization is working, and that's it.
Okay,
Okay, so add that the wetland scientist shall inspect the area 2 weeks after stabilization has been completed and 1 month after stabilization has been completed.
And submit a report.
Shall provide the commission with a report and photographs.
Sounds good.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Dawn?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Judy, aye.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Next is 47 Coffin Street.
Next on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability for 47 Coffin Street for the removal of 2 trees.
So the 2 trees are here. One of them is in pretty rough shape as far as there's a split down the middle, and the other one is diseased, from my understanding.
Can you indicate them again, Bert?
So there's the cherry here. And the locust here up by the driveway.
Oh, okay.
And you see the wetland line down here.
Yeah. And so how far are they? Locust is pretty much.
This one's relatively close. It's probably 20 or so feet. I can look on the full-size plan over there.
Mhm.
But they're not very big. So I know this one down here, there wouldn't be any need to bring a machine or anything down there. It would be by hand.
Are
So
they going
does-
to remove the roots with these trees? Is that part of this plan?
The work description says that all work to remove the black locust will be done from the driveway. The stump will be cut as low as possible to the ground and left. No stump grinding or other ground disturbance will occur. The cut tree will be chipped and added to the wood chip pile located outside of all resource areas and or taken off-site.
Is that the same for the cherry?
Second tree is a cherry located in the buffer zone about 20 feet from the wetland. No vehicles will be driven into the buffer zone to remove this tree. The vehicle will stay on the pavement. Again, the plan is to leave the stump cut low to the ground with no ground disturbance. This tree will be disposed off-site. New native trees, most likely red maples, will be planted to replace each of the trees that will be cut.
Sounds good.
I would move that we issue a negative determination of applicability conditioned on the work being done as set out in the work description of the RDA.
Second.
Any further discussion? I would add that the conservation agent be notified as to when at least 72 hours prior to the removal of the trees. So,
Is that a,
amendment?
yeah, is that an amendment to this or?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Do we have to vote on the amendment, Judy?
We will vote on we haven't voted yet, so we will vote on the request as amended.
Okay, thank you.
Dawn,
Aye.
Molly,
Aye.
Judy,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Judy, aye. All right, next is a notice of intent by the town of West Newbury for the Middle Street Artichoke River Bridge for reconstruction of the bridge.
Good evening. I'm going to share my screen if you don't mind.
Yep, 1 second. All right, we're good to go.
Sounds good. All right, can everyone see it all right?
Yep.
Sounds good. Whoops. All right. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Sarah Kreisel. I'm here from the BSC group representing the applicant, the town of West Newbury. I served as ecological project manager for the project. I'm here with Micah Morrison, engineering and overall project manager, as well as representatives from the town of West Newbury and city of Newburyport. The project itself straddles the municipal line with Newburyport, and an NOI has been submitted separately for the work proposed in the city of Newburyport. The proposed project is for the replacement of the structurally deficient bridge crossing of Middle Street over the Upper Artichoke Reservoir, which was closed in 2018 to vehicular traffic due to undermining of the paved roadway foundation. West Newbury has secured $1 million MassWorks infrastructure grant for the design and construction of the replacement, and Newburyport has secured a $500,000 MassDOT small bridge grant for the design and construction of the replacement. The NOI before the commission has been filed for impacts to bank, land under water bodies and waterways, bordering land subject to flooding, the 200-foot riverfront area, and the 100-foot buffer zone to bank within the town of West Newbury as a result of the proposed work. The roadway and bridge were originally constructed over the Artichoke River in 1891. The area was later dammed up and became the Artichoke Reservoir as it exists today. The bridge crossing itself straddles the municipal line between Middle Street, West Newbury, and Plummer Spring Road, Newburyport. The project occurs 0.7 miles east of the intersection with Garden Street, West Newbury, on an existing paved road, which is classified as a rural local road. The nearest house is more than 750 feet away. While the roadway is flat, removal of some small trees along the slopes down to the reservoir will be necessary for access and construction. The existing structure is a single-span, earth-filled stone arch and is approximately 14.3 feet wide, 13.2 feet high, and 24.2 feet long. Portions of the bridge, stone headwall, and southeast approach roadway have collapsed, and the paved roadway foundation is undermined. The Upper Artichoke Reservoir flows northerly in an open water area and is bounded by protected forest lands. While bankful width for the Artichoke River is 28.4 feet, as reported by StreamStats, the reservoir itself is much wider. The minimum width for stream crossing standards is 34 feet, but the proposed new clear span is 41.5 feet. The stream bed near the crossing is characterized by sand and cobbles with trace amounts of silt and gravel. The crossing is located within Zone AE for the 100-year storm event at and below the 13-foot base flood elevation. The Artichoke Reservoir is a Class A public water supply and outstanding resource water. There is no rare species habitat in the project area, and neither the Upper Artichoke Reservoir nor the river are EPA impaired waters nor cold water fisheries. The proposed project is characterized as a redevelopment project, but will preserve undisturbed areas adjacent to the crossing to the maximum extent practicable. The proposed project design complies with Massachusetts stream crossing standards as required for a limited project under the Wetland Protection Act. The crossing is proposed to be replaced by a precast concrete structure that will follow a similar horizontal and vertical alignment as the existing bridge that will continue to have an open bottom with natural stream bed material. The proposed span length will increase from 14 feet to 45 feet. The overall width of the bridge will be 32.5 feet to accommodate safety improvements, including a sidewalk. In accordance with the MassDOT Bridge Manual for a rural local road, the proposed bridge has been designed to meet the 10-year flood frequency storm event, can accommodate the 100-year flood frequency storm event, and increases the hydraulic opening by a factor of 2 compared to the existing conditions. Additionally, while the low chord of the bridge will stay the same, the proposed roadway elevation will be 1.5 feet higher, which will help mitigate possible roadway flooding. The proposed bridge will have a slightly larger footprint than the existing bridge, which will improve the openness and span size over the reservoir, which in turn will provide environmental benefits such as improved wildlife passage and connectivity, and the increased hydraulic opening will better facilitate reservoir maintenance. Approximately 1,000 square feet of temporary impacts and permanent impacts to land underwater are anticipated in West Newbury as a result of the bridge removal, construction of the new wing walls, abutments and retaining walls, and the riprap placement to protect the bridge. In total, there's around 443 square feet of temporary impacts and 553 square feet of permanent impacts. This project's actually proposing a gain of 436 square feet of land underwater from the proposed design openness. Approximately 175 linear feet of temporary and permanent impacts to bank are anticipated in West Newbury from bridge removal. Placement of riprap and retaining walls and reconstruction of the bank is where these impacts will be incurred. All temporary impacts will be reseeded with an appropriate seed mix. There's approximately 47 linear feet of temporary impacts proposed and 128 linear feet of permanent impacts. Less than 500 square feet of temporary and permanent impacts to bordering land subject to flooding are anticipated in West Newbury from the bridge removal and placement of riprap and the retaining walls. While storage of 167 square feet of floodplain is being altered, 311 square feet of floodplain will be replaced from this project, which will again increase storage capacity. The total amount of riverfront area in the West Newbury project area is about 6,900 square feet. A majority of impacts to riverfront area in West Newbury will occur in previously degraded riverfront area. This is about 46.4%. New impacts to riverfront area will be required to ensure the stability of the new bridge structure and prevent degradation of the newly improved site. Specifically, new riverfront area impacts will occur as a result of the new scour protection for the bridge, footings and abutments, retaining walls, roadway expansion for the sidewalk, and new roadway improvements such as guardrails, erosion improvements. The additional area is approximately 1,986 square feet, which is about a 28% increase. Additional temporary impacts of 570 square feet will be required for construction in the riverfront area. And again, all temporarily impacted areas will be restored to pre-construction condition with loam and seeding. There are no BVW impacts as a result of this project, as there are no BVWs within the project vicinity. Erosion and sedimentation controls will be installed prior to construction to protect the waterway and will be removed upon completion of the project once the site is stabilized. Work will likely occur behind cofferdams so that the work can occur in the dry, but the exact methodology is going to be up to the contractor. The applicants request that this unique project not be subject to a time of year restriction, as one would greatly impact the proposed project schedule and cost, and due to the nature of the project might result in greater impact to the surrounding reservoir. Winter work stoppage is not a standard construction restriction for Mass DOT, nor for municipal bridge projects. Importantly, as noted, both municipalities have time-sensitive grants in place for design and construction. Additional mobilization and demobilization would negatively impact the schedule and increase costs. Construction scheduling is usually part of the means and methods left to contractors, as they know the best timelines to meet their schedules and completion deadlines. The more time they spend working on the bridge foundation and abutments within control of water, the more their costs increase. And so they typically want to complete these tasks and stabilize as quickly as practicable anyway. With that, I would like to open it up to any questions from the commission.
The notice of intent talks about dewatering and says it's going to be left to the contractor. We generally like to see those plans as part of the NOI.
So Micah, do you want to describe the
So the control of water, there's this special revision that's put in the contract. It's laid out. The contractor may have different means and methods. What we can do is we can have, after we review it, we can apply it to the commission for their final say before it's returned back to the contractor.
So do you think they're going to start this then this spring? Or is there a general time frame?
There's a number of permits we have to get in place. We're hoping to have it put out to bid in the summer. So yeah, there's still a significant amount of work that has to be done.
You said there were going to be some permanent impacts to resource areas.
Correct. We're proposing retaining walls, which will actually reduce by slightly increasing the width of the roadway. By putting the retaining walls in instead of expanding the slopes, we're reducing impacts though from what's required. I believe that we need to increase the roadway width. Micah, again, as the engineer, can speak better to this, but I believe we're increasing the roadway width to meet MassDOT standards for roadway
And also,
roadway safety.
this is Micah. If you've been out to the site, you'll notice that there's a very steep drop off. So there's presently guardrail out there now, but it's largely ineffective just because there's not enough backup behind it. So we are using standard widths that is prescribed by MassDOT and is throughout the state of Massachusetts. So the width of the bridge is increasing to 24 feet. It's going to be 24 feet and it's going to neck back down to meet the existing roadway width.
Are they going to do a weight limit on this bridge? Or no?
No, once it's completed, there will not be a weight limit on this bridge.
Was there any modeling done with respect to climate change to make sure that this bridge will be able to handle future, increased water levels in the reservoir?
So there's been a lot of discussion. John Eric White with the City of Newburyport is on a climate action committee, and there has been a lot of discussion about this. We are raising up the road approximately 1.5 feet. The opening can pass a 100-year storm, and so there's a lot of factors that are put into this. So yes, climate change was considered greatly.
I put up on the screen the profile of the drawing, and you can see in the top center here, there had been some hydraulic modeling for the 100-year flood.
I'm just wondering if anything beyond the 100-year flood was looked at, because we've had several 100-year floods in the last couple of years. So,
John Eric, would you be able to talk a little bit more about this? Oh,
no, we can't hear you. I see the chat.
On that note, if he wants to give me a call, I could potentially put that through if that's. I know he was having an issue with his microphone earlier.
Oh, good, it's not my ears.
I don't know if he was going to give me a ring or.
Yeah, he just said he was going to call you.
Oh, okay. I missed the chat. Sorry.
Yeah.
Going back to the bank for a minute, when you say additional bank will be created, is that simply because the opening is wider?
Let me hold on. Gonna take him off speaker so that's not doubling up here. So the new bank would be as a result of there's going to be new land underwater. The bank is just going to be reconstructed.
Well, your notice says additional bank will be created. Where previously did not exist.
Along the retaining wall areas. I'm sorry. Yeah. And within the channel where it's lower, but since we do have the slope within the existing, within the proposed bridgeway. I was just very excited about the land underwater, so that's what I want to, since that's such a large increase there. But you're right.
So does the notice of intent describe the presence of a professional wetland scientist on site or anything while this work is being done? I haven't seen it.
I'd like to also, I haven't been out there. I would like to do a site walk.
Give me 1 second. Let me just figure out if Mike, John Eric, did you want, can you hear the regular meeting? And if I don't want there to be feedback. So, okay, I'll mute myself while you speak then, just to, unless, do you want me to answer, do you want the other question answered first, or would you like John Eric to speak about the climate before we go further?
Let's go back to the climate.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me mute myself so there's no, no, I can't mute myself, right? Ignore that. Okay, so I don't have to take the headset off was the question. You're on speaker. If everyone can let me, I'm trying to think this through. I've got my cell phone. I'm trying to hold it up here for him to speak. So I guess I've got the volume up, sir, and if you want to speak, go ahead.
Thank you. Commission, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can they hear me?
They can, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. If there's a Zoom number for me to call in, I can do that. I couldn't find the Zoom number.
It's in the agenda for the meeting.
John Eric, it's Angus here. I just texted it to you.
So maybe you could address the presence of a wetland scientist while he's dialing in.
Micah, did you want to speak to that?
So it is not in the NOI, but it's something that we would be open to discussions with the commission on what would be acceptable to you.
Yeah, I think especially if this is going to proceed
Okay,
outside
guys,
the normal. Okay.
I just spoke to John Eric. He's going to call in from a landline, so he's going to call back in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, especially if we want to consider doing this outside our normal work schedule, that's something that we typically require.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about details in terms of how much presence or, reporting or anything like that. I would also like to get a copy of the plan, a hard copy of the plans and the NOI. I don't know how many copies were submitted.
I've got plenty of copies here if you want one.
Okay,
Can you put those down in the entryway so we could pick
Yep.
them up?
Yep.
Thanks.
great, thank you.
I have one extra copy of the NOI and I have copies of the plans.
Yeah, I believe we submitted 2 copies of the NOI total
Yep.
on 5 NOI plans.
Yep.
Yeah, would it be possible for us to get additional copies? Just with the remote meetings, it's easier if we all have our own copy.
So a hard copy?
Yes. Unless there's an electronic copy of the NOI.
We have electronic. We've got hard copy, whatever you prefer. I
Yeah,
can forward to you right now if you'd like.
Yeah, for the NOI, that's fine to be electronic, but the plans, it's much easier to have a full-size hard copy.
5 full-size 5 11 by 17 hard copies were submitted.
I
They
have
are.
Yep.
Wendy, the NOI I did send in an email too.
I just looked for it. I didn't see it.
It came, I think, today, Wendy, and isn't it like 80 some odd pages or something?
Last week sometime.
Oh,
Oh, last week?
Last Monday. Last week.
okay. All
I
right.
mean, I can resend it to you.
And 93 pages to answer that comment.
93. I knew there were a lot because when I started reading it, I thought,
And there's
oh,
cover pages,
yeah, it's a lot.
Want to make sure you have everything you needed.
Well, thank you.
So I don't see John Eric dialing in here. We just have the same attendance.
Did we lose him?
I'm not sure.
I also
Well-
forwarded them the information.
So what's the overall length of the project expected to be? Do you have a time estimate for once you begin construction?
Yeah, so it will be over a year in length. Probably upwards of 450 to 490 days.
And in terms of impacts to resource areas, will they be predominantly upfront, or, I mean, can you give a kind of overview as to when they'll happen?
So the first part of the construction, they're going to be putting in sheet piles. So they're going to be building a coffer dam everything off to do the construction, the dry, and the demolition has to also occur in the dry. So they're gonna surround this area with sheet piles and sandbags. Usually they use larger sandbags. They're called 1-ton sandbags. So they corn the area off. We'll also put in shielding to remove the arch of the stone bridge. They remove that, they do their excavation. Generally, they try to do this as quick as they possibly can, just because they are going to be dealing with water and they want to get out of the water. When I say out of the water, this is behind the cofferdam. So they don't want to be pumping a significant amount of water for a long time. So they try to do this work generally pretty quickly. So once they get the existing bridge demolished, then they're going to be putting in the riprap. This is going to stabilize the slopes.
I should note I'm also sharing still in case people aren't looking. I've got the page up, just to assist.
Yeah. And after that, they will be driving piles and building the abutments of the bridge. And once they get the abutments built, then they would build the actual structure above.
And I believe John Eric has joined at this point. I think that's him.
Can you hear me?
Can now?
Yes.
Very clear.
Nope, he just got muted. There we go.
So with my brand new computer that I got for this COVID situation, the video still freezes my computer, and I got no control over that. I got to figure out how to get around that. I cannot see what you folks have. That is fine, but as long as you can hear me, we can go back and forth. So as far as the climate change, this bridge is going to be more than adequate up to probably the year 2110. So the way it worked was we did the best that we could in our city. Our resiliency plan, our resiliency committee formed a subcommittee to determine the future flood elevation for one of our waterfront projects, the NED Waterfront West. We spent weeks and weeks and weeks arguing and debating what future elevation should we comply with. There's a million studies out there, IPCC, the whole 9 yards, Boston, everyone, the Bragg report. We concluded that if we can design for a 6-foot rise in sea level around the year 2100, that will satisfy a lot of people in town and head us towards the right direction. Using that theory, this particular area, right downstream of this bridge is a dam. That's elevation 12.3. The FEMA elevation in this area is elevation 12 for the 100-year storm. So at elevation 12 for the 100-year, our recommendation for our town downtown for that project was add 6 feet to FEMA. The question that one of the commission members, I believe it was Wendy, asked about modeling. We didn't do modeling for this, but what we did was we used a simple approach because Woods Hole wasn't complete with their modeling of the Merrimack River. I think they are at this point. But in any event, we did the simple approach that if we just added an amount of height due to sea level rise, add that to the 100-year storm, that would be good for now. So we chose 6 feet. The range, the high end was like 10 feet in the year 2100. The low range was like 2 feet. So we didn't do a model. Woods Hole finished their model for the Merrimack. I believe they finished it I think they finished it late last year. We can take a look at that. But to keep it simple, 12 plus 6 is 18. The low chord on this is 16.2. which is just the top of the opening below the bridge. Even with the future 100-year event, this bridge will it'll survive, and the bridge won't even overtop with that situation. So that's one answer for Wendy. For anticipation of the next question, if you just look at mean high water and add 6 feet of sea level rise, what does that do? The Merrimack River mean high water is 5.2. You add 6 feet to mean high water, and it comes up to 11.2. That's well below the elevations that we're dealing with. So before anything gets even more dramatic, we have to deal with the upper dam elevations and change those. So long story short, we're good for at least like 2080, 2100. I hope that answers your question.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so I'm assuming this project was coordinated with the other proposed, the NOI down at the, at 113 at the spillway in terms of changing the height of that?
So for the spillway, we're still, we're in front of the commission just for the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So that is simply getting the foundation in so that we can do a sandbag to protect against a storm today. We're 3 feet below the 100-year flood down right now.
Yeah.
That foundation, you guys, has nothing to do with future sea level. We need to go back in front of your commission in Newburyport when we are ready to raise that dam. So those are kind of two different things.
Yeah. Okay.
You described the siltation barriers and erosion control as compost filter tubes. Could you, what do you mean by those?
Did we lose it?
Kind of what size?
Who's that question towards? Because I'm still trying to unfreeze my screen. Was that towards Micah?
It's towards who wants to answer it.
Yep, Sarah, could you go to the end of the NOI there?
You got it. So give me 1 second. I'll have to stop sharing. Oh, actually, no, I don't think I brought, whoop. I guess I lost it. Did I just lose stop? I think I just lost sharing again. Give me 1 second. Let me bring up the NOI instead. Let me move that around. Yeah, I don't think I brought that last page in. So is the NOI sharing right now?
Says it just isn't very large.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Give me 1 second. Just getting to the page first. Is that better? Oh, it says my screen sharing is paused. Resume share. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay, beautiful.
So you want to zoom into the
Yeah,
compost?
I have to move my own computer to
Yep,
get there.
sorry about that.
There, all the way at the top right corner. There we go. So this is the last page of the NOI that you have.
Yep. So it's a biodegradable material within a biodegradable fabric. It's similar to straw wattles and stuff like that. It's a standard MassDOT item. It's what they use on all their projects. And they are 12 inches in diameter. And if you look at this detail, this is how they would be installed. This is taken from our MassDOT projects. But if you had further questions, we could supply you with additional information. Like a cut sheet or something like that.
Are they backed by silt fence there or?
They are generally not, but that's something we could add if the commission wanted that.
No, we generally do. particularly since it's gonna be in there for a while.
And the other thing I'm gonna do is for the quantities, I'll make sure we have a lot of extra quantities, because if these things start to decompose, we'd want to be replacing those. So that's something additional I'll do, is add quantities into our contract to replace them when needed.
Especially where we don't know the time of year, because in the winter, they can really take a hit.
Yep, no,
Can we schedule a sidewalk?
yes.
Our next meeting is,
February 8th. So it's 2 weeks from today.
what about Sunday the 7th?
I'm not sure. Is there anyone who's available?
I can do that.
Bert, could you send that out beforehand? And then
Yeah.
if I can, I just am not sure.
Does that work for the applicants?
ESC will make ourselves available.
Thank you.
Okay, so maybe we could continue this hearing to the 8th, sidewalk on the 7th at 8:30.
Okay, 8:30. I was going to say 9, Judy.
We can do 9.
Oh, thank you.
And, if people have additional questions after reviewing the NOI more thoroughly, perhaps we can forward them to you for answers by next meeting.
Certainly, you can forward them, please.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions this evening?
So Bert, you're going to put the plans in the entryway?
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. All right, so I guess we can continue this then.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Eric, can you make me the host of the meeting again?
I am looking right now how to do so.
So if you put your cursor over my screen, the three
Oh,
little.
okay, gotcha. Haven't done that too often, that's why. There we go. Thank
Got
you
it.
all for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Next on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance, 70 Ash Street.
Hey, this is Dennis Hamill from JM2 Associates for Tim Oreo for 70 Ash Street for certificate of compliance. We submitted all the plans. You got some up there, Bert? There you go. I don't know if the commission remembers, but this what you're seeing in front of you now on the screen is the what was approved by the order of conditions. There was a change to that plan that was brought to the commission, and the commission approved it. I'm not sure of the date now, but it was a while ago. And that would be the second plan. We've submitted that plan as well. That was submitted to the commission for they called a plan change. If you look at I submitted also with the data, the actual minutes to that Conservation Commission meeting where the commission approved the plan change. All that data was submitted. And then from there, we also submitted an as-built plan of what it, the final product looks like. And if you look at the letter that I submitted with the request, it does show a couple of minor changes or field modifications to the plan in the final as-built condition. The biggest change was he moved the barn 15 feet further away from the back set of wetlands, closer towards the street. Other than that, there was a slight movement of the footing drain outlet, and also his pool grading extended slightly into the buffer zone on that thing. But on the plan change, he did show that as an alter, the limit of clearing. He's still within the limit of clearing of what was approved on the field change or the plan change by the commission. So that's the gist of the certificate right now, or the request for the certificate.
Well, you also underground propane tank that was not.
Yes, I'm sorry, that's right. There was one other thing. It was the propane tank that was an underground tank set there, in the buffer zone, on the edge of the buffer zone.
Well, it's 59 feet from DPW.
Yeah, you got it, Bert. If you could put up the
Did you submit a digital copy of the as-built?
yes, we did. There should have been plans electronically as well as physical copies. I submitted 5 to the physical copies plus.
Yeah, I have the physical copies.
Okay. I think I might have them with me. I'm not sure if I can get to them.
Yeah, I thought I had it. I don't see the as-built in your email here.
All right. Let me see.
Bert, have you looked at this at all?
Yep,
Are the markers in place?
the markers are in place. Yep.
I do have a copy with me, electronic copy of the final as-built that was submitted. At least I believe I submitted it. Maybe it got missed, but if I can share my screen, I can probably get that to you. Is that okay for me to share the screen?
1 second. Yeah, we should be good to go.
Okay, let me try that.
Which house is this?
This is the 3 houses on Ash Street. It's
The new ones? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, can you
This
see
is the
that?
middle one?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you see that on the screen now?
Yep.
Can you, oh, okay.
Okay, here's the propane tank, where you can see my pointer right here. That's the cover of the propane tank that's below grade. And here's the outlet for the footing drain, which comes from here. You can see there's a little bit of spill over here. This tree line you see is the same line that was submitted on the plan change. And he initially had it as grading, and he just put in a little retaining wall to make it flat. So it's the same amount of disturbance. This garage was back 15 feet, and he moved it 15 feet forward to get it further away from this back wetland.
And so what's the distance now from the wetland of the barn?
I can't scale off of this plan, so I'm not sure. It runs pretty much parallel to this one, so that would have been the same setback.
Okay. Yeah.
And he moved it 15 feet further this way.
Mhm.
So I do have the, here's the 25-foot buffer right here.
Okay. All right.
So you can see it's, he moved it, it's probably another 25 feet. So it's
Right.
probably, well over 50 feet. Because there's a 50-foot structural setback as well. So he moved it out of that as well. So you're back
Okay.
here.
And where are the markers placed? Is it the,
There's a marker here. There's another marker there.
okay,
Third marker there, and here.
okay,
So they're all around this perimeter of the 25-foot zone.
okay.
It's like the barn is 70 feet from one wetland and 55.
It looks like they're probably the closest to be right in this area here, probably.
Is this a barn that's going to have horses in it?
I don't believe he's got animals in there. I believe that's for some of his equipment that he keeps. You know, he does construction, so he's probably got some equipment in there.
Okay.
Well, are underground propane tanks permitted?
Well,
I don't know.
Permitted in what way? You know, in a buffer zone? I mean, it's just a tank. I'm not sure if that was, I don't think that was shown on any other plans, of my memory of the other plans.
How big is that underground tank?
I do not know. My guess is it would be a 500 gallon, which is typical for a house size propane tank.
Okay.
That's personally what I have at my house. I'm assuming that that's probably what it is for most homes.
So there's a condition, the standard condition 29. Since the underground storage of petroleum products cannot be effectively monitored for loss and presents a hazard to groundwater and wetland resource areas, such storage is prohibited. This condition shall be included with the certificate of compliance so as to run with the land.
So it's prohibited in the buffer zone, or?
It just says prohibited in the condition.
All right, well, it would be.
That's not gas, though. Say that. Read it again, please, Bert. It's not gas, it's oil, right?
Since the underground storage of petroleum products cannot be effectively monitored for loss and presents a hazard to groundwater and wetland resource areas, such storage is prohibited. This condition shall be included with the certificate of compliance so as to run with the land.
And propane is a petroleum product, right?
Technically, yeah, I just wonder, it seems like that was probably meant for liquid petroleum products, but it's not clear.
Yeah, it sounds like they mean oil, fuel.
Because what would happen if there were a leak? Wouldn't it just become gas? Propane?
I would assume so.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Actually, need to find out more about the propane.
Is it common for them to put those tanks underground?
Mine are above.
There's a lot of them. My personal one here is underground, so there's a lot of them I know that are underground. You know, there's a lot above ground too.
When Drake's Landing went in, they didn't get the gas line, so they had to do underground propane tanks all through Drake's Landing as well.
Yeah, there's at least 6 or 7 of them that I know of out there. There's quite a few.
And so they must be in the buffer zone, right?
Not necessarily.
Right, I don't know.
Drake's Landing? Did we?
Yeah.
We didn't permit those though, did we?
It did come through. It came through to us because we're abutters. We got a notice, and I'm not sure.
I
It went
don't
through
remember.
planning board or
I don't remember discussing it for Drake's
No, I
Landing.
don't either.
So how far from the wetland line is the propane tank? Is it
50.
close?
59 feet? Is that what?
This is
that
the 100-foot buffer is right behind it, so it's
Oh.
probably 80 plus 90 maybe.
All right.
Here's the 25, so halfway between there and there would be
Yeah.
50 would be, you know, right about here. So that's got to be 85 to 90 feet.
Okay. And so did the contractor just not realize that that needed to be part of the submittal to Concom, or do you know what happened?
I do not know what happened.
Okay.
We weren't involved with any of, you know, the installation of any of that you know, anything that's below ground. We didn't have any any
Yeah.
say to it. We didn't stake it out or anything like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't advised. The only thing I know is when we did the as-built, there it is.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, is there a rush on getting this certificate? I would like to look into this a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
well, he just wanted to get it done. He lives there, so
Okay.
he's not going to sell it today or this week or this year.
Right.
As
So
far as I know, so.
could we vote on it at our next meeting?
Yeah, could we just continue it to the next meeting and, or not continue it, but take it up again at the next meeting?
Which would be in 2 weeks.
Right.
I can certainly talk to Mr. Oriole and find, get the, just what it is, how big it is, and those kind of things too.
Thank you. I think we'd like that.
And so, Bert, would you be able to check with your contact at DEP just to get their input?
Yeah,
Excuse me, was that specifically for underground or was it?
Yeah, it's underground.
Because you can't monitor the underground, so that's why it's prohibited.
Yeah, if it worst comes to worst, he could install one above ground, but he'd prefer not to.
Well,
just
let's
appearance.
see if they allow the gas. I think from when they were reading that, it almost sounds like they meant just oil, but gas, we're not sure.
Well, I mean, it says controlled products, so let's just.
Yeah. Just to make sure.
Were there any vegetation requirements, Bert, on this that needed to go through a growing season or anything? I don't recall.
Special conditions?
Yeah, there's nothing in the order about that.
Okay.
The site is very well stabilized. They did sod back early in the fall, so it's all stabilized. The erosion controls have been removed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, so why don't we continue this to our next meeting so that we can look into exactly what that means when they say that's prohibited, if it's just oil or if it is oil and gas.
So that's not a condition on the state form. That's part of
our firm, right?
Oh, that's ours?
Yeah, I should be more specific about that. That's on the West Newbury standard condition.
But it might be helpful to find out what DEP's thoughts are on underground propane.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance at 171 River Road.
That's also me. That's Mr. Harris for a dock he installed last fall.
Yes.
And I went out and took all the measurements of the floats while they were in the river. During the growing season, he had to remove them, so that's why they're still not out there. But he did provide an as-built plan showing where they were constructed last fall, or actually last summer, whenever he built them.
Could you just make me the host again? I do have that as built, so I can pull that one up. If you drag your cursor across my screen, there's the three little dots. If you click that, it should say make host.
What do you want me to do?
So if you drag your cursor across my screen.
Yep, I got the three dots, yep.
So you click the three little dots and then go to make host.
Did you find it?
Yep, I did.
Good. Oh, yeah, Bert, the host.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so you can clearly see now the layout of the dock, which is exactly the way it was designed and approved. The only slight changes were, I don't know if you remember during the notice of intent process, there was a couple of trees down in the area of this landing. And it was suggested that we just move the landing over to not cut the trees down. So we did that. And I think there was a couple of trees right where the walkway would have been real close. So by sliding it over, we're able to not have to cut any trees down to install this. So it's slightly in a different location here. The sizes and dimensions are all the same, just slightly shifted to avoid removing a tree. So other than that, it is built exactly the way. The only issue, if you look at my letter, the chains that he used to put in here were not the ones that had the I call it the spring or the elastic roads, as it noted, as to keep them off the river bottom. If you look at the photos, which I included with the application, I don't know if you have those, Bert, or not, but the river in this entire area is a rocky bottom area. There's very little soil out there. As you can see, I took the pictures at low tide, and you can see the chains, and you can see the rock that's all through here. All of these anchors, which hold the floats in place, were driven into ledge, and with a clip so that they could hook the chain to it. But it's all rock, and you can see there's some boulders placed out here, and this is a little section. You can't see what I'm pointing at, but
No.
I'm sorry, I'm moving my cursor like you can see it. But anyways, towards the just a couple of floats in from the end float out in the river, you can see a little protrusion there. And that's exposed ledge at low tide. And he's actually got the anchor in a large piece of rock that's sticking up there. The only one I couldn't see the anchor was the one on the opposite side of that to the left, because that was below the water level. But he did not use any concrete anchors or whatever. He actually attached it to the ledge. It was all ledge.
Do you know whether he got authorization from Heritage to do that? Because the conditions say that the use of any mooring system other than helical anchors and flexible mooring rods shall be submitted to and approved by the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program as required by the letter of September 23rd, 2019.
He did not, as far as I understand, we didn't do anything to get any additional permission because we weren't involved with the installation of it either. But I would have assumed that the anchors directly into ledge would have satisfied them because again, they're not blocks of concrete.
Well, we're not making any assumptions. Perhaps he needs to consult with them, tell them what he's done and see if they approve it.
Yeah, the only thing I can see where there'd be any issue would be the chains themselves not being the elastic roads, which they were approved. And that was on the design plans, and the contractor, I don't know if he just didn't see it or didn't want to see it, but that's what he installed. So he does, the worst case for that would be that he has to replace those chains with the road system to keep them off the river bottom.
Right. I mean, the order said that if ledge precluded the use of the helical anchors, an eye bolt with an eye of similar size to the anchor shall be set in the ledge and secured with a quick dry epoxy. Drilling for installation of the eye bolt shall be done from the surface and drilling 16 inches to 2 feet into the ledge. And the use of any mooring system other than those has to be approved by Heritage.
Right, so the anchors that's exactly how those anchors were put in. They were drilled into the ledge and set with a bolt, and that's what the chain is attached to. So there's no concrete in there or anything other than the quick set epoxy to hold the thing in once you drill the hole.
I think it's the chains scraping the bottom of the riverbed that's the problem. Is that right?
That would be my only concern, or that would be obviously different from what would have been approved by the fisheries guys and the underwater stuff. My point was that and we could probably make this to them and they may accept it, is that the river bottom here is not dirt. And it's basically rock.
But that's a decision that they said they had to make in their letter to us that was attached to the order.
Right. So we can certainly submit that to them with the photos and see what they say, and they'll either say nay or yay, and then otherwise you'll have to replace those with the roads. Just that they are very expensive, and that's probably why the contractor just put them in. But
was it a local contractor?
I believe it was Tom Goodwin put these in.
Okay.
He's very knowledgeable. He does a lot of work in the river.
Right.
Well, I guess then we have to wait for a response from Heritage before we can do this one as well.
Yeah, he's in no hurry either. He just wanted to get it done before his order of conditions expired. So we can get that done. But
We appreciate the submissions. I mean, we really do, but we do have to make sure that they comply with the orders.
I don't disagree with you. I was just trying to make
Yeah.
a case, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I guess we got two options. One, I can do the, make the contact with Heritage and see if they will approve such a thing and they can write a letter. And the other option would be just simply to install the roads, the elastic roads, which are thousands of dollars. And that's why, we'll make the attempt to go the other way first, just simply because it's not a lot of dirt there on this part of the river.
Well, and maybe he should contact Heritage.
Yeah, I'm going to do
Do
that
that.
and get a decision from them. They may want to come out and look at it. I don't know. But right now, obviously, they're not in right now. Everything's been removed for the winter. Have to wait until they put them back in, or just get an opinion based on the photos that I took. When I took it at low tide back last fall before they took them out. And those are submitted with the application, so you can see it. I have others that I didn't submit because I took like 20 or 30 pictures, but I only submitted 8. They kind of generally looked at the typical conditions out there. But I will make that thing, and we'll continue this and see where it goes.
Thank
I'm
you.
not sure I'm not sure I'll have an answer in 2 weeks, but
Well, you might.
I might. But that's the best bet we can do.
Okay,
All right.
sounds
Thank you
good.
very much.
Okay, thank you.
Next is the Sullivan's Court Trail easement.
Did everyone get a chance to look at that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Couple of questions about it.
What are the questions, Judy?
Wasn't he supposed to be paying for this?
Paying for what? The trail?
For the, where it says,
I think originally, maybe he was. But
Yeah, this is the one that was brought before the CPC, Judy. So he had $10,000 set aside to build this trail, and then when it was determined it needed to be ADA accessible, the planning board allowed him to just donate the 10,000. So he's out of the picture, but he still has to grant the easements for that, as well as the trail to the river. There's no plan for it to be built right now. So the only issues I saw was in the trail between River Meadow and Sullivan's Court. The width of the trail specified in the easement is not consistent with the CPC application. I think he was talking about a 6-foot wide trail. Yeah, this is the one that he had submitted the NOI for.
Okay.
Yeah. But the current proposal is for a 6-foot wide trail narrowed down to 4-foot wide crossings at the wetlands and then at the stream over near Sullivan's Court. But this is all on public land, so the only part that's on Sullivan's Court property is the part to the right.
I don't see any width for the trail on this anyhow.
Well, there was originally, and that was one of the comments we made when we reviewed it back in 2019. I mean, isn't width generally, don't you usually need to know the extent of the easement?
I thought so.
Yeah, but I didn't, is the easement the just the width of the, I mean, you've got a trail meandering through, assuming the blue line is the trail. Don't the, it's a 6-foot easement.
Okay.
So that would be consistent.
Okay. So Bert, in the email you sent, there's 2 trail easement documents.
Yep.
So is that one for each of the easements? Or,
There's a
Well, one,
deed.
yeah, one was the deed and one was the easement. There's the
okay.
deed in the plan.
So there's a trail A and a trail B, right?
That would be on the, I thought there was just one.
I only see one plan.
I know. So the other plan was the trail that went from lot 5 along the stormwater detention pond to the river. Remember, he wanted to put a bench there and cut all the trees back so we could see the river?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there is a trail A and trail B. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
But that's gone, right? The bench and the trees?
Well, he's not going to build it because it also had to be ADA compliant. But I
Right.
think if we want to maintain the easement for it, and so I think we need a plan to show it. If
Area on this plan. It says proposed trail A. Is there a plan? I guess the question is there a plan to propose trail B?
Yeah, where is plan? Do we have anything that shows Trail B?
well, it's shown in the original, development plans.
Yeah.
But I think we should have a separate plan of that just for this easement. Otherwise,
If we have one for trail A, I think that there should also be one for trail B
right.
as part of this easement.
So can we ask him for that before this gets approved? Is there a rush on this for some reason?
Yeah,
He
Yeah.
wants,
I think he's closing
Really?
tomorrow or something.
oh, God.
But you know what? I have so many times in the planning board meeting, I said, you have to get the easement document in. And he was, yeah. So.
2 weeks.
So you're saying you want separate plans, individual
Well,
plans?
like something that shows Trail B.
Yeah, there's,
So-
I mean,
Trail B right here.
Where? Well, we're looking at grant of trail easement in the picture of the plan.
Yeah,
Is there something that says Trail B?
right here.
I don't think we're looking at the same thing, Bert. We're looking
No,
at the
I'm looking at
text.
Word.
Oh, okay, 1 second,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
yeah, there's a blue circle in
I'm
the,
looking at Word with a blue circle.
You
Yeah.
circled like a blank space on the text.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That if we have a plan of land for proposed
Okay, here we go.
Is that,
Now, where is Trail B?
it's over between
Oh, I
lot
see.
3 and 6.
so it's there and there.
Well, there's 2 Trail Bs.
Yeah, they both say Trail B.
Well, it's all part of Trail B. It starts at Sullivan's Court and then follows the driveway out.
okay.
All right, so that's adequate, I think. Judy, are you all right with that?
Well, I don't know, I think that if he gave us a plan for proposed trail A that is attached to the grant of the trail easement, then we should have a similar document for trail B.
Okay. What about all the legal stuff in the easement? Are you okay with all of that?
It puts it, he's got absolutely no responsibility for anything.
Yeah.
Well, I think we expected that.
Well, I mean, that's the question, are we okay with assuming sole responsibility for the maintenance and upkeep in a reasonably safe, aesthetic, and passable condition, and for the marking of the trail and laying out of it? Well, there's some typos in here. The portions of the trail that do not presently exist on the ground.
Yeah, so the trail is not going to be installed unless the town decides to do it on their own money. So I just want to make sure that this easement maintains our right to do that. I don't think we're expecting anything from him in terms of maintenance of the trail.
Okay, it requires us to post notices.
Well, we had reviewed this back, as I said, 2019, and we had just a few minor comments. And Jay had sent the memo. Do you have that there?
No, I don't have a memo. There is a typo in the deed, since it is accepted for and on behalf of the inhabitants of the town of West Amesbury.
The town of what? What did you say, Judy?
I said that the deed recites that the conveyance is hereby accepted for and on behalf of the inhabitants of the town of West Amesbury.
Yeah.
You said.
South Amesbury. Come on.
Oh, gosh. Well,
Well, so that needs to be corrected, obviously.
yeah.
I mean, I have no idea. I'm assuming that the description is accurate. I have no way of knowing that.
Mm-hmm.
But
What about the section that's highlighted? Is that a question for us, or is that?
I don't know. I think it would be a question for town council.
Yeah, I mean, this is all of the easements for the property, not just the trail easement. On the deed?
Yeah.
I mean, do we care about that?
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't do real estate law.
All right.
And so I don't know whether an order of conditions gets listed on a street deed. And it's not an easement.
Mm-hmm.
And this paragraph says there's conveyed here with the following easements of land. An order of conditions is not an easement.
So do we notify town council? Does town council know about this, or?
Well, so it seems like it should be the applicant's responsibility to sort all this out. And I don't know why he isn't here, or his representative is not here to.
No one's here for him?
It's also the selectmen that accept the deed.
So do we notify the selectmen that there are issues with this, or have they already accepted this?
No, they have not. They haven't seen it because I asked Angus about the town of West Amesbury, and they have not seen this one yet.
So maybe we should notify them and let them straighten out the rest of the stuff.
Well, I think we can ask, I mean, the trail easement is something that we accept.
Right.
So I think that it would be appropriate for court to ask Tom for a plan for Trail B, similar to the plan for proposed Trail A that he provided. Granted the trail easement.
Well, yeah, and then tell them that we'd like it before our next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, are there any other issues that you think he should attend to so that we get it all resolved at once?
I mean, aside from changing West Amesbury to West Newbury?
Yep, aside from that.
Yeah, you might tell him that. That he, he's conveying to West Amesbury. No, I mean, I think it, you know, it's, we're in charge of managing and maintenance, and there's no structures, which is what we want. He can apply to relocate it. But he bears the cost of any relocation, so that's fine. And it has to be mutually agreeable. And he's just, we are required to do any posting of notices. And I think that's
it.
good. I think it's just having the,
So if Bert gave him a call and told him that we need name of the town changed and we need a plan for Trail B, and we need it before our meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay, I'll talk to him.
And so where did you see the 6 feet, Judy?
I used the scale on the plan.
Okay.
You want me to ask you to be more specific about the 6 feet on the plans?
Well, I think it should be in the text, shouldn't it? And what I'm concerned about is if the trail is actually 6 feet, don't we need a little bit more buffer than just a 6-foot easement?
And if this is actually the scale.
No, I don't, I don't think it is.
I bet it isn't. I'm just, that's why.
That was just the wetland delineation plan. That wasn't meant to be, like a document for the easement.
I mean, it says scale 1 inch is 20 feet, but I'm wondering whether, because it is an 8.5 by 11, whether it is.
It's a different scale because it's a different size piece of paper. Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, 6 feet seems too narrow.
Wait, so you're talking about the plan for Trail A? That's an 8.5 by 11?
Yeah.
Okay, I have the original. It's a half-size plan. It's much bigger. So this is obviously a copy and it's been reduced. So that's a problem too if we don't have a scale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, I'll talk to Tom.
All right.
Gird yourself, Bert.
Yeah. All right, so what's next on our agenda?
Clarify how the width of the
Clarify the
easement.
width of these.
Next is the MVPP contract.
Did you get any response from Jen on that about the invoicing?
Yes, I did. So he submitted the same letter as last time as submitting it, just updated. To either the end of February or the middle of March would be enough time. I still don't have an invoice from her. Or wait, no, sorry, yes, I do have an invoice from her. So there's still $1,069 on the contract, available on the contract.
And you think that will be enough?
Yes. Yep. So far she's billed for 10.5 hours. So it looks like I just need to get this extension letter signed, I guess.
Yeah, Dawn needs to sign it.
Yep.
Want to put it down with the plans?
Yeah, I'll put it down there,
Yeah.
and I'll talk to Jen tomorrow and let her know that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, just send me an email to
Okay.
remind me to go there, and I'll do it tomorrow.
So you said you did get an invoice from her?
Yep, I do have an invoice from her.
Okay. And that's being paid out of the revolving fund, or is that coming out of our budget?
I thought it was the revolving fund, wasn't it?
I don't know. I got a copy of the expenditures and I don't see it, any payments to them in there. So that's why I was wondering.
This is the first invoice, so there wouldn't be any payments. Yeah. This
Well,
is
we had an invoice for her mentoring for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get a handle on the accounts. I mean, we have 2 revolving fund accounts, which I don't understand. So I'm working with Stephanie to try to figure out what's going on with that. But
Okay.
Next is Drake's Landing Trails.
oh, I just want to make the commission aware that the trails that they've put in, there was significant erosion back on the part by the septic reserve area. And Chip got called out on it and did the repairs. And I'm not confident those trails are going to last. And I'm afraid we're going to be in the same situation where the homeowners association is coming back and saying, you know, the trails aren't maintained and we didn't know about it. And Chip's attorney's solution is, well, Concom has jurisdiction and they can just enforce the maintenance of the trail. So, which, you know, I said, you know, we don't have the resources to be patrolling the trails and repairing them. And
Why was there so much erosion? Are they just dirt, or what has he done?
it's stone dust, but I don't think they were constructed correctly. And
No.
there's no water bars and it's a steep slope. And so the runoff is coming off the septic area. And I mean, I took some photos. It's eroded right down to the liner underneath. I mean, huge.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he got out there with his equipment and a small army of guys with rakes, but the homeowners association is not going to be doing that every year. And they only have $800 in the budget for trail maintenance for the whole property.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing we can do, but I just want to make the commission aware that there is a potential problem, as we've seen at cottages, and we are going to be responsible for dealing with it.
But the easement requires the homeowners association to do maintenance there, doesn't it?
Yeah, but like at cottages, you know, either
They don't know what they're doing.
No,
Yeah.
they don't.
And if the trail's not constructed correctly, then most likely there will be problems that the homeowners association is going to have to deal with, and they're going to be calling Bert and complaining like they are over at cottages. So
Yeah, Brad and I went out and looked at them today with what's his name? Rick Parker.
mhm.
And yeah, I mean, I think it's a matter of, you know, putting in 6 or 8 water bars where the slope is too much. And the water's just running down the trail and washing it
Did
out.
we call him in to a meeting
Well,
about these? Wait till they erode again and then.
Well,
call
so
him.
the thing is, the particular areas that are the trouble spots aren't in wetland resource areas.
Yeah.
Some of them are, but not the really bad ones. But so it's not clear to me what our responsibility is in this, but they presented it to the planning board that conservation is going to be monitoring this, so planning board doesn't have to worry about it.
Well, perhaps planning board should be told that parts of the trail are outside the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. Shall we send the planning board a letter to that effect?
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, if we accept the easement, are we responsible for all parts of the trails, not just the resource areas? I mean, we already accepted the easement, right?
When we accept the easement, are we accepting?
Doesn't require us to do the maintenance. So no, we're not responsible.
But what I'm saying is, are we responsible for making sure that the homeowners association maintains it?
there's got to be a way that we can make sure that they're constructed correctly before he gets out of that development.
So the planning board signed off on all the trails as well?
No, no. I mean, they haven't finished releasing all the lots, so this is not the final thing, but I was just kind of taken aback that that's their solution, that conservation will keep an eye on it, you know?
Well,
That
we
would
can
be
keep
fine
an eye
if there
on
were
it.
an
We don't
obvious
have a
problem.
budget to fix it.
What's that? Dawn?
We can keep an eye on it, but we don't have a budget to fix it.
Well, I disagree. I don't think it should be our responsibility to monitor the
Well, that's-
trails.
yeah.
You know, that takes resources for Bert to be out there and making sure that the homeowners association carry out the terms of the agreement.
But they also have to be constructed correctly.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's the problem, is they're not constructed correctly.
Yeah.
They've already washed out and it's been, when did they put them in, this summer?
Yeah, they were washed out in November, and I've been tracking it, and it's been getting worse and worse. And then we had that huge rainstorm, and I mean, it was really bad. So,
Do you notify the selectmen, the planning board? I mean, who do you?
well, the planning board is now aware. One of the selectmen went out and looked at it, so he's aware, but they've already signed off on the trail. So, so it's up to the planning board. No, so it's up to us and the planning board to make sure it happens, I guess. So, I mean, Judy, if you're going to write a letter, what would it say to the planning board?
I mean, should we send them a letter saying that we are aware that there's been significant erosion on portions of the trail, and that while not all of the areas are within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, they should be repaired and properly constructed, so that the homeowners are not left with a major problem, which I have to take a look at the trail easement, at the Drake's trail easement again.
Mm-hmm.
But, just asking the planning board to do a proper fix.
So if we send that to the planning board, do we also send a copy to the selectmen? Or is that?
It's not really their role to, I mean, they've already approved the easement, so I don't know that they have any other jurisdiction over it, but.
And I think that maybe we send Chip a copy.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I think it would be good to at least put it on the record that we're aware of this problem and we don't want to be stuck dealing with it,
Okay,
So Judy, are you going to write that?
I will draft it and circulate it.
Okay.
Thank you. What's next on our agenda?
Annual town report.
Oh, Bert, did you get the email I sent you?
Yeah, I did. So my mistake that I thought this was calendar year, so it's the fiscal year. So that land agent stuff didn't start in it started immediately after when this town report would end.
Yeah.
So I just have to go back and redo the number of orders and determinations and all that. But I don't know if anyone else had anything they wanted to add.
I had a couple of typos to it.
Yeah, and
Well, so I just had a question, Bert. I mean, how much work would it be to, instead of to say like we had 10 orders, can you say like what they were for? I mean, are there general categories?
I mean, I just went back through the agenda, so it says it right on the agenda. It really wouldn't be much more work at all. It doesn't.
I feel like it would be good to give the Board of Selectmen and or the town a sense of the different kinds of projects that the commission works
Sure.
on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not a problem at all.
Okay.
All right.
All right, next is the wetlands protection bylaw.
That's you, Molly.
Thank you for the edits. I read through, I'm not sure who did them, maybe Judy, but
And because the, our authority to enforce the Wetlands Protection Act is not home rule.
okay,
The home rule is the bylaw.
it's the bylaw, right?
And so, and I just kind of cleaned up the timeframes for the enactment of the act and the regulations.
Mm-hmm.
And
No, I think it looks good.
okay, we actually don't have, and the setbacks are not in the bylaw. The setbacks would be in the regulations that we promulgate pursuant to the bylaw.
Okay,
And I mean, I don't think we have ever actually had a policy for a 50-foot no build zone. I think it's a good idea, but, and we can do that in regulatory form, but that's really not something that we have had.
Yeah, we've just had the 25-foot no
Yeah.
disturb area. That's been a policy.
So that's why I think it's accurate with the changes I proposed.
So where do we stand with the actual bylaw? I mean, I think the warrant articles are going to be due in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we can put a placeholder in too. I mean, I think it looks okay.
Do you have any comments, Tom?
No.
Okay, so Molly, do you want to circulate the revised
Yeah.
final sortish, and then we can start doing our PR rollout with whatever committees we're on, and or maybe we need a more organized plan than that, but
the rollout of preaching to the choir.
yeah, exactly. But I assume at one point we're going to need to go before the Board of Selectmen and defend this and the FinCom, right? Or it would be a good idea before they vote on it. But that's down the road a little bit.
Yeah. Well, those are the two biggies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it wouldn't hurt to, I mean, I've already talked to the planning board about it, but I think it would be helpful maybe to have an official spot on the planning board's agenda and talk about it and why we think it's important, since they do bylaws and stuff.
Agreed.
Yep. I had another business item. Are we done with the bylaw?
Yeah.
I had emailed Bert about there's a certification program for invasive plant management offered through UMass Extension. It's 4 sessions of 5 hours each over February and March, and I thought it would be good for him to take it, and he's interested. So it's $95 per session, so that would be a little under $400. And so, I mean, I would like to have him do it if everybody's in agreement. I think it would be really useful for us as a commission and also for this new invasives subcommittee that's trying to get going.
Sounds good. Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What do we have in the budget?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I know we have it.
Okay,
Definitely have that much.
I'll agree that we authorize Bert to take the certification program offered by UMass for invasive plants.
Second.
Any further discussion? Dawn?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
Wendy?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, review of minutes.
One thing I noticed was the last meeting we had, which was what, the 15th? The lawyer for Jennifer Attenborough was listed as Olivia, but her name is Olympia.
Okay. I don't know, I was a little late, but I sent Alyssa some revisions. Also on the last, minutes.
Have we got all the revisions? Were they all sent out?
I don't know, I sent them this morning.
So Judy, how about we table the 15th and just go through the December 21st and the January 4th minutes?
I had some changes to those too.
Oh,
I had changes to all three of them that I sent Alyssa this morning.
All right, Judy, that's not on the agreed upon schedule.
Well, I apologize.
So I move that we table the minutes until next meeting.
Okay. Second. All
Okay. Tom? Wendy?
Yeah.
Molly?
Yep. Aye.
Yeah, I.
Aye.
Sorry, Lisa.
Is she there?
She is. She's on mute.
Yeah, but usually she comments. Maybe she's taping us.
Oh, she's there.
I'm here and I'm fine. I'll just send out, a new batch. Easy for me.
Okay.
And again, I apologize.
Doesn't bother me.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right.
All right. So we have a site walk, and Bert, you're going to send out a reminder for that.
Yep.
Right. Thank you.
And when will the plans be down there?
I can put them down there tonight before I leave.
Oh, great. Okay.
And then just send me a reminder, and I'll go by and sign.
So who wants a copy of the plan, just so I know how many to put down?
I do.
I would like a set. It's much easier. It's too hard not to have the plans.
And Bert, I'm fine with the electronic copy. If they send you a PDF, just email it to me.
Yep. Okay. All right. So I'll put Molly, did you want one?
I think she said yes.
Okay. I'll just throw 3 copies down there before I leave tonight.
Okay. And do we need to sign anything? We don't have anything that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There will be the 2 determinations from tonight in the order, so I'll leave those down there too.
Okay. They're not going to be down there tomorrow though, right?
I mean, I'll put the signature pages down there tonight when I leave.
Okay.
Okay.
Wasn't Angus looking for us to sign something? There's an email yesterday. They need some signatures.
I think that was last week.
Oh, that was last week. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Tough week, Tom.
Yeah. It's been a very tough week. So.
Yeah.
You changed your background.
Yeah, I had to get rid of the Christmas stuff. It's the sunrise down at Newburyport Harbor. Doesn't it look lovely?
I could see the little light post.
Yep.
I liked the Aurora Borealis.
I know, that was pretty cool. It was even moving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could watch this all night.
All right, guys. I guess we're done then.
Yep.
All right.
All right. See you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.